again, YouTube! This is Dr. Kendo, and I'm here with Scribblenauts Unlimited, the object editor commentaries. This is where I'll create your favorite characters from movies, gaming, TV shows, all that kind of stuff here in Scribblenauts. And I use the object editor. That's a feature on the Wii U and PC versions of this game. And so we're gonna go with a Sunbather, the female Sunbather, as a source object for today's creation, which is a continuation from Suicide Squad, the recent movie. And we're creating Enchantress this time. So on the 20th page of the color pattern library, you know this little paintbrush icon that's down in the middle of the screen on the bottom. Then on the 8th page, the 20th page had the pattern that we used for her arms, but then on the 8th page we used this sort of like green swirly pattern in the top right for the clothing, what little clothing I guess she does have on. And on the first page, there's actually this little like white with a gray wavy line texture in it. So all these little kind of color patterns, to kind of finish off, we're going to go with the 16th page, again in the texture color pattern library. 16th page, top right corner, there's like a white background with these little black crater dot looking things. And so that's for the legs. So all of those then are applied with some kind of like off peachish skin tone to look kind of dirty. And a necklace with a minus sign behind the front arm right here, because Enchantress, you know, again, while she's wearing little clothing, she also has all these kind of necklaces and beads and gems and just things everywhere. Body art like this that we're putting on the legs. This is angioma, and hopefully you saw how to spell that on screen, but basically angioma is like a kind of benign tumor, I guess you could say, skin conditions. And here we are putting down a wafer board at this moment. The wafer board is going to be sort of this cloth covering, well, you know, that region. Down here, her midsection. Okay, and so then taking this kind of donut torus circular pattern from the geometry library, that'll be the two kind of connectors on both sides of the wafer board right there. So again, that was on the 3rd page of the geometry library, kind of the last little circular donut looking shape. Then we can actually type in a donut. If you type in donut, it does look different than what I used for the little two connectors of her loincloth piece, but typing in donut kind of has an off-centered circle type shape. And so I have that hanging down from the necklace right there below her chest. 22nd page of the 29-page library. There's an arm almost near the bottom middle, and basically that's what we're going to use with kind of a checker texture pattern from the texture color pattern library right there. And I think actually instead of the checkers, we'll just go with kind of that same pattern that we used for her legs. But this time we're going to paint it sort of this like turquoise-ish color a little bit instead. Now, something that I pretty much, I hardly ever do, I would say, is use hand to actually be hands of a character, but we haven't done it in so long, and I've used a lot of receiver glove, which you could use here, but the receiver glove has that kind of rectangle pattern on the back of the palm, and so I figured why not just go with hands again. You could do lots of things. I mean, sticky hands, they only have 4 fingers, and normally, you know, you work within the confines of Scribblenauts Unlimited, so that doesn't bother me per se too much. I know that a lot of people like to nitpick in the comment section, but I just went ahead and went with hands. There are just, the point of all of this is that there are a lot of options for you to choose. So I also did dot twice to be sort of that necklace charm there, just above her chest, below her neck, and on her neck basically is a sash, and we kind of colored that turquoise again with a checker color texture pattern. And then I used 2 whiskers, which are kind of like this eyelash shape or whatever, on both arms. So that's a total of 4 whiskers in all. But those will give kind of this spiderwebby body art look on her arms, with jellyfish, the base tentacle kind of near the body, and that upper tentacle is basically just a line in this game. Hopefully you noticed as we're putting down Pimple right now to be sort of these beads in her hand, this like long chain or necklace that she's holding on to, we did reach the stamp limit. Every single piece that we've put on for our character right now, like those dots, the donut, the angioma, all that stuff those are all a stamp. And so Scribblenauts Unlimited does have a limit to how many stamp pieces you can put on. So with that, we'll go into the properties editor right here. As you can see on screen, you know, not a whole lot of action going on, so I like to read background information or fun facts about whatever characters we're creating in this series. And so let's go with Enchantress, which is a fictional DC Comics supervillain that also goes by the name of June Moon, first appearing in Strange Adventures number 187 in April 1966. Although Enchantress has changed between now and then, it is safe to say that she's basically a powerful sorceress who can manipulate and use magical energy for a number of different purposes. Regarding the Suicide Squad specifically, we created the movie version of Enchantress for the film that came out just last month in August, but in past Suicide Squad lore, Deadshot is actually tasked as the one to take her out if she gets beyond control. People who haven't seen the movie yet but want to, perhaps beware of a very tiny spoiler right now to just skip ahead about 10 seconds in this episode, starting here, right now. But doesn't this sort of remind you, like it reminds me of a slight nod in the film, where Amanda Waller basically tells Deadshot to shoot down an escaping Harley Quinn from the helicopter. Again, very tiny, hardly a spoiler, but okay, I gave the warning. Now, if you guys have not seen my Suicide Squad commentary, where I created the main Task Force X team with Katana and Joker, please feel free to go back to episode 185 in this series to see them, but you'll notice that I left Enchantress out of that episode because she's really the main antagonist of the movie, and I wanted to keep her separate from the team, though she was initially selected to be part of it. But I just really like the movie, and it gets obliterated by critics, sadly, and I think if you're even slightly interested, you should still go check it out. But here we are with the head as the source object for Enchantress's head. We are creating the head separate from the body, because again, we didn't have enough stamp space on the body to make a head. And so you can see that I've put down kind of this base head of Erica Tringali. You can type in Erica Tringali as one of the Fifth Cell developers or members, I guess, of this game. And so we took her head, put that down over the head source. Then there is a back tail piece of a worm for the blackish brown dirt around the eyes, but then the middle body piece of a worm for the whites of her eyes, the main kind of white part right there, and a nose for the nose, lips for the lips. That makes it easy. We did a ball to be the iris, or this colored part of her eyes that's almost that dark turquoise color again, and I'm gonna actually make it with her eyes kind of having that red sort of glare in them and stuff, because when June Moon is taken over by the Enchantress, she does have that sort of orangish red hue in the pupils right there. And so we did PEA for that, and I did put down a squid kind of base tentacle piece or upper tentacle that's close to the body right there. Basically that squid tentacle is a line just like kind of that jellyfish upper tentacle piece, and that line is for her forehead. She has a lot of like writing or script on that on her forehead. And we did a moon for this kind of crescent moon shape here on just above her forehead. And then I'm putting down a whole bunch of those squid tentacle pieces once again from her forehead, but we're gonna make them stringy strands of hair. Enchantress actually it normally has very long hair, and especially in front, it goes down way down far. But in Scribblenauts, you could kind of do that, but it would vary. The characters move in such a way that I think it would look pretty strange. And so I'm showing you what you can do if you want to give her some eyebrows, if you want, especially if you want to kind of make her be a little bit more frowning or make her eyes a little bit more angry looking. I'm not going to do that because I feel that they look kind of menacing enough, but I just wanted to show you that option. You could use like 29-page library arm shapes or certain fins from various fish in this game, like a cobia, flying fish, that kind of thing, maybe spider fish. But hopefully you noticed under the scripting tool, if you go down to the properties and go into the equipment tab, the third circle down is what you want to check off for can be worn on the face like glasses. Whenever you've got a head separate from the body, that's how you're going to want to script your head piece, because then you can basically give the head to the body like this, and it will put it kind of in the right spot. You'll need to edit your body object and turn on the green grids to kind of move the head around to see where it should go. But you can see Enchantress right now wailing on the Killer Croc design. I do have the Captain Boomerang here, but I've made him immobile right now. We just want to have her fight Killer Croc for a second just to see what it looks like when she shoots out a projectile. You may want to shrink the torso of the Sunbather because it's a little bit wide for comparison. Enchantress is pretty thin, kind of more lanky than this, so that's something to think about if you want to kind of stick to that design. I often do have a little bit more of a Scribblenauts feel. I'm trying to find a good balance between the actual characters, artwork, and designs with Scribblenauts Unlimited, and that sort of cartoony, short character, big-headed sort of look and feel to it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it was just one episode for the creation today, but it's coupled with, I'm releasing a sister location teaser in close proximity to this, so it's like you guys get 2 episodes in a very short amount of time. So hopefully you guys also check out that Speed Create to see the FNAF sister location rounded out. But yep, Enchantress, pretty awesome. September 1st was my anniversary with my wife. We've been married for 4 years. We've been together for 7 years. And so, of course, much love to her, Mrs. Kendo. You guys guys hopefully all know her, but that's another reason I'm kind of falling behind on some video work and stuff is my birthday, our anniversary, and then her birthday. They're all in very close proximity, and so there's a lot going on in my personal life. I hope you guys understand, and of course, I will catch you on the next vid, and thanks for viewing.
Encourage, now I hope to God that everyone can learn something from what I say, and hopefully you flourish.
Getting down to the matter, let's look at it more. My words ain't meant to be about wage war.